Good morning, we're big. We've got too much room here today. We got to fix that. Give me a second here.
Good.
All right, we're back. Hey, we're back. We're fixed. Terrible room. Our room grew on us while we were sleeping last night.
That ain't bad.
So let's talk about something. It's been some trying times, and emotions are running high. And we're pointing fingers and being hard on each other. And I'm gonna share a thought. Every great leader I knew exhibited an exorbitant amount of patience and grace as leaders. And not every leader, the leaders I enjoyed working for. The ones that flipped off the handle and lost their chili and were screaming at everybody all the time were never anybody I want to be around, ever. Didn't want to work for them. They didn't appreciate anything. They were gutting them. So I'm going to share a story with you that was told to me many years ago. Phil, have you ever heard the story of the scorpion and the frog?
Yes.
So for those of you who haven't heard the story of the scorpion and the frog, it's really simple. The scorpion, the creek is flooding, and the scorpion is trying to get from one side of the creek to the other. And he asked the nice little frog, would you please let me ride on your back across this creek so I can get to safety? And the frog goes, no, because if I let you ride on my back, you will sting me and kill me and we will both drown. The scorpion says, oh no, Mr. Frog, I would never do that. I would never be that way. So after a few minutes of cajoling over this and discussing it, the frog agrees to take the scorpion across the river. About halfway across the river, the scorpion stings the frog, and as they're both drowning, the frog goes, why did you do that? And the scorpion goes, it's my nature. What I will tell you is if you work with a business leader that is a screamer and a yeller, it is in their core. And it takes a lot to change that. And it makes it hard for you. If you're a business owner that does that, it makes it hard for your employees to want to work for you, want to communicate with you, want to tell you what's going on in the business. So today we're going to talk about the importance of patience and how to engage your team when things aren't going right and what you can do to get better.
I need to get a pad because I'm going to take notes on this one. Patience is not my strongest suit. So it definitely, very true statement, what Dave just said, but it is something, if you are like me and you find yourself to be maybe a little more intense than some people are used to, you've got to learn how to manage that. And I think that there's really two ways to look at this, right? You've got to, we're not saying if you are that way that you're broken and you're not repairable and you're not fixable and nothing's going to be okay and you're never going to have all the success. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is like everything, you got to be self-aware. It's no different than if you're not good at the financial side of things, perhaps you don't enjoy the financial side of your business. You better have someone in your organization you know and trust that is, or you're going to have a problem, right? So it's you've got to figure out the right ways to improve in all those areas to where you can create a culture, because that's what this really is going to affect in a horrible way, to create a culture that's positive and that people want to be a part of.
Yeah. So with that, Phil, that's a great lead in. One of the things, and I was talking with Phil about this before we started today, is one of the things that I remember from my childhood is being a stupid kid and watching the old people, who I wouldn't listen to when I was 20 something, shake their head and smile. And I didn't really understand what that meant. I didn't understand when you're trying to climb the ladder, when you're in your 20s and 30s, you were stepping on everything. You were running through walls. If you are like Phil and I, you are trying to tear things down to get to the next place. And we see kids now that walk into businesses. Let me rephrase it. We see young people now that walk into business and think they should be the CEO the first day. Right? Is that fair?
It's fair. It's also part of the societal thing that you and I talk a lot about. When you tell people, I'll give you an example. When you tell people that you're now a child until you're 26, so you can stay on your parents' health insurance as a society, we create a lot of this stuff for these people to think the certain way that they think, right? There's not as much personal responsibility, in my opinion, as there once was.
So let's walk through that, because that's a great point. So when you're step of the chain, you don't understand what you don't understand.
Right.
I mean, that's the reality. You see the world through a certain lens. It's not wrong. It's your lens. Environmental. Your parents have done it to you.
Yep.
It's Matt. Hey, Matt. Your parents have conditioned you. The school system has conditioned you. Your coaches and teachers have conditioned you. Your friends have conditioned you. And you think that when you walk out at some point, you think you should have a certain job. I'm going to be fully truthful and honest with you. I did the same thing. I was exactly the same way. And I'll never forget the day that changed. I applied for a job in the Air Force that I was fully capable of doing, but I wasn't qualified to do. And my boss took the time to tell me, he goes, look, you have the skill set. You aren't qualified yet. You don't have the experience I need to help me make those decisions. And I didn't realize he was right until I went to the job that gave me the experience to qualify me for that next level job. Because there was a step in between there that I didn't realize because of my perspective. And as business owners and leaders, we have to, especially if you're over 40, we have to take those life experiences and share those in a professional way to help young people remap their brain, right? Because they're going to get upset, their feelings are going to be hurt, and they're going to think you're a jerk and all these other things when you tell them no. But the one thing I'll remember from that conversation with that senior leader was he was very honest. He was very honest with me about where I was, and he was very specific. And when he asked me the questions, I couldn't answer him. So it put me in a position to where I had to do some self-inflection on myself to see what it took, right? And the next 4 years after that was eye-opening because I got put in those positions. I got thrown in the ringer, and I got beat up pretty bad. And I learned that I needed to hold my tongue sometimes and do certain things. And it changed who I was because of that experience. So I would offer to you, if you're struggling right now because you're trying to run a business and you're frustrated with your team and everything's going wrong and you want to scream, step away and take a deep breath. Find somebody that you can talk to and share that with that's been in your shoes before.
Well, yeah, and I agree with all that. I would also tell everybody this. Everybody needs to remember this. Me, Dave, everybody that's listening, whether you're 20, you're 26, you're 46, you're 56. Nobody's freaking special. None of us are special. Okay. And I think we live in this world where we start believing that we're special, that we're entitled to something, that we're owed something. You know, I'm 55, I'm closer to 56 than I am 55, right? And I'm not owed a damn thing on any given day from anybody.
Nope.
You know, so it doesn't matter. You know, nobody is special. Quit believing all the crap everybody's telling you that you're unique and special. I'm not saying you don't have talents. I'm not saying you don't have unique skills. That's wonderful. Man, let's go run with those things. But you're not special. Okay?
Well, Phil,
nobody is.
Phil, before you crush everybody's soul.
I'm not crushing their soul. The truth is we have a bunch of soft-ass people in the world.
Now, I won't disagree.
We have a bunch of soft people. And it's not age specific.
No, it's not.
I mean, it's you quit. I mean, life's hard. Life's hard. You know, I mean, we got to quit thinking, in my opinion, we got to quit thinking like that we're owed something or that we deserve something. You get exactly what you earn. I mean, that's what you get. You get what you earn in life. Whether you're 25 or you're 55, it doesn't matter.
Claudia, I would say we're all snowflakes in the sense that, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that we're all built differently. There's a uniqueness to each and every one of us, and that's not what Phil was discussing when he said that.
Everybody's unique. That's why I said everybody has unique skills. You can be great at things. That doesn't mean you're special. I'm talking about people running around thinking that they're special, that the world owes me something.
So let's clarify that. And I think Simon Sinek did an excellent job. Simon Sinek does an excellent job with All I Ever Deserve is a Styrofoam Cup. Yeah. And if you've never listened to his discussion on that, it's about leadership, right? And he's talking about a CEO that went from the top of the house and moved on, and he realized his job title didn't define who he was. I will share this with the world. I was privileged enough to command a couple of very large squadrons in my life, and I promise you, when I walked in, I thought I was a king. Thank God I had a wife that kept me humble because that could have gone to my head in a heartbeat. But I'll never forget the day I stepped away at my change of command and what happened. You know what happened? I was Dave again. I walked back and I wasn't special anymore. The position was special. The person in it was not. And if you don't realize that and you don't treat your people with humility and grace, when you're in those, when you have those opportunities to lead, you will epically fail. 100% you will epically fail. Because when you step out of that job and move to your next job, you're just another dude, right? You don't have people kissing your backside and showing up in your office, give you shots. You know, the med group showing up at your hospital, give you shots because you don't want to go to the hospital. You have to go back to being a normal person. And if you haven't seen Simon Sinek's All You Ever Deserve is Diamond Cup, you need to watch it because it's an amazing discussion of this topic.
I think Matt's comment is spot on. It says, until you have felt lucky to eat every few days, life isn't tough.
That's a fact.
Our elders who survived the Great Depression knew tough times. And I think, what's that deal? Tough times make tough men, or hard men. Hard times make hard men. And I'll say hard people. Soft times make soft people.
Which result in hard times.
Which might result in hard times. And it's this vicious cycle, right? And I think there's I don't want anybody to mistake what I'm saying. I want everybody to have all the success they can in life, but I think we got to quit BSing each other too about what's really going on. If you're struggling, the first thing you got to do is you got to go look in the damn mirror. I mean, that's where the first answer is going to come from. It's not going to come from a book. It's not going to come from listening to Dave and I, or to Tony Robbins, or to Simon. That's not the first place you got to go look is in the damn mirror. Right? If you live in the mirror, then if you look in the mirror and you see what it is, that's it. You got to adjust what's between your own two ears. There's troubles out there, right? There's tough times out there right now. Everybody knows that. You still have one of two choices. You can either quit or you can keep pushing forward. Right? Oh, Matt, that's funny. Again, I think the important thing is this. You got to be self-aware. You got to understand who you are. You got to understand the situation. And I think it's very important that we all understand none of us are special, that life is what life is. There's going to be good days. There's going to be tough days. Everybody's heard me, it's listened to this longer than a day. Some days you're an eagle and some days you're a duck. You just got to be an eagle more than you're a duck, right? But I think we've lived in this world too long where people, we were talking about this before we got online today. I still think part of the challenge we have is currently we live in a society where you can monetize and become extremely financially successful without producing anything, without doing anything. I mean, we make heroes out of people that act like jackasses on YouTube. I don't know, make heroes, but they make a lot of money. Well, when I go read some of the stuff that the kids, the youngsters, the 15 to 22, 23-year-olds, right? What they're acknowledging and what they love. There's a lot of hero worship in there with some of these people. But you call it whatever you want to call it. The thing is we've gotten away from, in my opinion, from producing things that make value. Everything's about entertainment now. Everything's about capturing somebody's mind, which then can capture their dollar for a second. So everything's driven on ads now. Nothing's driven on substance. So this is a great point, and it's interesting because I think if you look at what's happening in our country, and we'll just use America as our country discussing it, and really the world, is that we have moved from security and safety and Maslow's hierarchy of needs to self-actualization. And when you get to that point and you aren't fighting for security and safety, life looks a lot different and you don't feel like you have to work. The unfortunate thing about this discussion is that at some point, self-actualization, if you're not careful, can turn into security and safety. Correct.
And I think I'll use this example, and I don't want to get political, but I'll say there's been decisions made politically that have impacted economies in certain cities. And we're seeing now the decisions made 18 months ago, people are looking and going, wait a minute. There's people shooting at me at the mall. There's people showing up my car with a gun and carjacking me. I'm not used to this. I don't like this. My security and safety is at threat. Let's go back to what we had before.
Why are all these people running in groups of 10 to 20 with hammers and stealing stuff, high-end stuff out of stores? Gee, how could this happen?
Yeah, I think it's important. I think it's important for anybody watching this to please take time and study history. I'm not talking about listen to people on TV talk to you about it. I'm talking about go research.
Yeah.
Go to a library and sit down and study what happened in 68 with the race riots. What happened in the 70s with the oil embargo? What happened in the 80s with the stock market crash? Try to understand the why and the things that were in place when it happened, and be smart, educated adults. And educated isn't listening to somebody on TV telling you what you need to believe. Educated is going in and studying. If you lived through those times, you know what happened. If you had friends that were, losing their jobs and their businesses and their families, you know what happened. But for our younger generation, you didn't live that, so you need to take the time to be thoughtful. And that's when I talk about patience, it's about learning from previous experiences. If you don't learn from history, you're destined to repeat it. And we're in that cycle right now. And we don't want your business to fail because you're not taking the appropriate steps to build a stronghold, work hard, and grow by building an incredible team with an incredible culture.
Yeah, and the culture is everything, right? But I think it still comes back to, we got to all understand what our, that again, I know I keep saying this, nobody's special. You got to get up and work hard every day. You got to understand that you can't, just because you got tough times doesn't mean you roll over and quit. That means you got to keep moving forward and keep fighting and keep doing the things you need to do. And it is easy, and I think part of the challenge, I saw something, Dave, last week when I was homesick and couldn't leave my freaking house. That was great for me, but it might be why I'm a little cantankerous today. But the reality is this, we never shut it down anymore. We've always got this thing, right? It's always there. Nobody ever shuts it down anymore. There's no time. You were talking about your kiddo, your son, your oldest, who's at university right now, Oklahoma University, and how him and his friends are making a conscious effort to do less of that. That's what it's going to take to get stuff back. We always joke about it. How did we ever survive without cell phones? Just fine. That's how we survived. Just fine. But it's became this constant 24. I mean, literally, and I think I'm like most people. I get up in the morning, or I get up in the middle of the night, I grab my phone. It's a freaking sickness. I mean, ain't nobody going to call me at 3:30 in the morning.
Phil, I'm going to tell you a secret. Since I retired, there is no longer, my phone is nowhere near me at night because I don't like getting woken up at 3 a.m. with bad news.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, we're talking about patience and culture and growing yourself as a business. I'm gonna offer this to you. You need to build a world where you detach for a few hours a day, where you do some thoughtful things for yourself, where you work to grow that patience, because you can get caught up in this craziness in the world. It's so easy to do. Trust me, it is so easy to do. I would challenge you that at night, when you go to bed, you put your phone in the kitchen and you put it on the charger and you leave it alone. Now, if you got young kids that are out there, I know my wife has a phone by the bed in case my daughter calls or my son calls with someone, because my daughter's in high school or needs a ride someplace. But we do the best we can to disconnect. And I will tell you, if your phone is by your bed and it lights up at night, you're going to wake up and you're going to look at it. You are. You're going to do it because we're humans and we have the fear of missing out. But that's driving your lack of patience. That's driving your lack of ability to wait. I think we are so used to, and the pandemic helped resolve some of that, but we were so used to pushing a button on Amazon and having whatever we wanted delivered to our door in 24 hours, right? We're so used to being able to push this and get the reward. I mean, Pavlov's dogs talked about pushing the button, getting a treat, right? Conditioning. Yeah. We got to slow down. We've got to get ourselves back right in line, or we can deal with the consequences. We can deal with the impact to your business, to your family, and your life. And we work with people as personal coaches and business owners to grow their business, right? To help them solve problems. So I'm speaking to you specifically right now. Find a way to hack the clock, slow down, be thoughtful in your decisions, only use emotion for effect, right? If we get mad and start losing our chili, we walk away. We do not engage until we've taken a deep breath and walk away. We had an incident this week with one of our clients. We talked about some things that were happening in a certain contract. One of the senior members of the team was very, very upset. And I appreciate his comment so much. He said, look, gentlemen, I will engage on this after I calm down. I will make the appropriate phone calls and we'll get it fixed. and he slept on it for 24 hours and did what he do, and that problem is solved. And this is a senior person in the world that I'm talking about. He knows himself well enough. He goes, I can't engage right now. I need to take a deep breath, walk away, and I will deal with it tomorrow. And guess what? The way he dealt with it resolved it faster than anything else we could have done. So I want you to keep that thought in your head. When you are physically angry, walk away. And I'm going to tell you why. Because other people can play off that anger. Other people can make you look foolish. Good job, Jennifer. Other people will take advantage of you when you're using when you are emotionally attached to a situation. So, there is a time and a place to engage, but you determine the battlefield and you determine how you engage when things get crappy.
Yeah. And I think too, being intellectually honest, first of all, with yourself is critical. You've got to do those things, and you got to be intellectually honest with the people around you that are closest to you about where you really are and what you really need. People will ask, if you ask somebody for help and they give it to you, it's a good idea to not tell them no, right? I mean, if you ask somebody to do something and then they try to do it and then you push back, that creates problems. And usually it's a sign that you're not willing to grow or make the changes necessary to get better, So I think, again, just remember to be really honest with yourselves about where you are, and understand it takes hard work to get these things done. But it's doable work. It's not impossible work. It's just hard work. And it's hard because people don't do well with change. I mean, it's just
nobody does.
Nobody.
Change,
it doesn't matter
who
you are.
We talk about paradigm shifts, change. We've all lived it where there's a boss want to make a change. The company lost their chili. I mean, because they couldn't understand what the boss was thinking. And again, I'll tell you, if you do not change and adapt, you'll become irrelevant very fast. Yeah. The world is changing super fast now, and we've got to be smart enough as adults to make sure we do what needs to be done to be successful. And Jennifer's right. Mandela did say that it always seems impossible until it's done. I've heard that quote 1,000 times in my life. Mm-hmm. It is impossible until it's done.
Yeah.
Right. But it doesn't mean it's not going to be done. So
most things are. Most things go. I mean, everything that seemed impossible, it's happened, except for the moon. We didn't really go to the moon, according to my dad.
Yeah. Well, so let's close with this. Think about all the great things that we as a country have done, as opposed to the negatives. Think about all the things that we do for families and kids. Think about how graceful it is to live in America. I'm sorry, Matt.
That's very true.
Very true. Water's better than gas in the fire.
Yeah.
But what I want you, if you haven't traveled outside of the U.S., you don't know what it's like to live someplace else.
Right.
I will tell you from traveling all over the world that you live regardless of what you're seeing on the news. This is the greatest country in the world. By a mile. People have freedoms to say things that they couldn't say or do anyplace else. They would be shot, they would be hung, they would be beaten. Trust me. Most people here, not everybody, but there's an opportunity for food and water and shelter here. Right? And we have a society that, as long as we continue to work together, that wants to help people that are struggling. I mean, I know a lot of people. The person sitting next to me is the most thoughtful, helpful, generous person I know, in spite of he looks like an angry bulldog sometimes. Most of the time. But he gives so much to his community, and there's so many of us that do that, right? So in a world where you're seeing noise going around, I want you to build a strong business. I want you to be thoughtful and be patient. And I want you to remember this year is a year to give back and help grow young people into great leaders that can step into your shoes someday and do amazing things.
Yeah, and remember, we were all 21 at one
Absolutely.
point. It may look different. It may be dressed different. It may be, now it's social media and it drives old guys like me crazy seeing all this stuff. When I was 21, it was something else for that generation that was my age when I was 21, and we got to remind ourselves of those things, right? So don't get caught up in the emotion of things. Things are going to make you emotional. That's part of being a human being. It's how do you respond to it? How do you react to it? Most importantly, what do you execute on after that happens? Do you turn it into something that's positive that makes your organization better, or you just sit around and get mad? It is what it is, right?
It is. So with that, the takeaways today: patience, grace, forgiveness. Don't use them. Don't get emotional. Don't make decisions when you're emotional. Step away for a second.
Throw water on the fire, not
Throw
gas.
water on the fire, not gas. Matt Wilson, great
philosopher.
Great words, a great philosopher, Matt Wilson from Gardner County, right?
Greenwood County.
Greenwood County.
God, that's where God lives. God's country.
Greenwood County boys. So, hey, with that, have a great rest of your week. If you want to talk to us, reach out. We're on Facebook. We have a phone and we have email.
Claudia, we'll be getting back with you. I've been out sick, so I see Claudia on the call. We will get with you.
And with that, Dave and Phil, EXSIN Live, we are out of here.